Alright, hello everyone guys, welcome back to another video on TTVE, and today I'm going to teach you guys something a little bit more different that I wouldn't normally do, but I'm going to teach you guys how to play the Iron Fist. But today, though, I'm just going to pretty much teach you the mechanics, the basics, and all the essential stuff that you guys need to know. And as someone who has been in Grandmaster with Iron Fist and has been in top 200 as an Iron Fist player and who has maintained about a 70% win rate on Fist, I'd say I'm decently qualified to make this video, or at least teach you kind of the necessities that you should know about Fist. Here's the timeline. But yeah, let's get right into it. So, funny thing about Iron Fist, many people dictate that Iron Fist is actually more of a diver. No, he's not. He's actually both a diver, meaning he can go dive backline, and he can also brawl, so which is why I kind of play him, because for the purpose of my wolf gets banned, I can tank bust. See how fast he shreds, and they can just kill him. So with Iron Fist, you have a lot of, like, more or less versatility when it comes to his kit. And talking about his kit, I am going to read off the abilities, but not that much. So basically, Iron Fist has his primary. So pretty much he has 5 hits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th attack you do, so again, the 5th hit, you do 55 damage. Everything else is all 35 damage. So ideally, when you're, and I think people get this mistaken a lot of the times, when you are brawling in the backline, for example, if I'm going to go dive as Iron Fist, right? Many people may think, oh man, use your flurry state. Although you can use this to a degree, you can kill way faster than that, and your flurry state is supposed to be used for tanks, not for people like Cloak and Dagger, for example. You want to be using your primary to do that. So, especially with your primary, there's a combo I like to use, and he has 2 team-ups. He has the White Fox and then the Thing team-up. And what both team-ups do, and I'll explain it to you. Pretty much, the White Fox team-up, the base edition, gives you punch AoE healing whenever you punch, so meaning your brawling is pretty much boosted, and your range, so meaning your ability to hit with this actually increases by like 2 meters, and your ability to like jump and stuff gets a speed boost, if that makes sense. And it doesn't really tell you that in the description more, it just tells you, says a burst of healing. There's a lot of stuff that this game doesn't really tell you that much, which is why people like me are here to tell you. But pretty much when you're going in the back line, and this is your, I don't want to say your golden rotation, but this is more of what you should be doing. You want to go in the back line like this. Before you go in, meditate somewhere where they can't hear you that much, or if you are meditating the back line, do it beforehand, and don't use 1 or 2 jumps. 2, 3, 4, 5. Kick, hit. Does that make sense? So again, and there's other ways you can do this too. And if you have the Thing team up, you don't actually have to worry about doing the last initial hit, because you can go again, use your jumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kick, uppercut. And a lot of the times you can use your F. What I like doing, because I use my team-ups a lot in battle, especially when I play with Blade. I like to bind any team-ups that are bindable to my F button, if not C. So then whenever I am actually like going, for example, I'm like, I don't have to worry about like looking down at my keyboard while I'm hitting her like this, like that, if that makes sense. So for the purpose of this video and for my time frame, I'm going to leave some very advanced concepts about Fist, because you can do some really crazy shit with Iron Fist, which is why he's kind of, according to the database, he is technically S tier. Technically, although I think he's A tier. But there's a couple ways that you can actually make him useful, if that makes sense. But pretty much, I'm going to go back to his abilities now. Pretty much as you've been seeing, his left shift, you can use it for a kick. His kick does percentile damage, and it has 2 hits. The first hit is an initial hit, and then the other one is percentile damage. And the way that the percentile damage works, it scales it based on how much health is missing. So for example, if I were to kick Cloak and Dagger right here, you see how that doesn't really do that much damage? But let's say, for example, I were to kick Cloak and Dagger halfway. You see how much more damage that does? It's better to use your kick as a final, or in this case, as a way to like finish off your opponent. You never want to use your kick to engage. Never do that. The only other reason why you would use your kick for any other purpose other than damaging is to get out. I can get out and I can press my jump button, or luckily for you people, I play controller sometimes because I play Marvel Telecon. And for those of you that do play controller necessarily, you can press left bumper on here if you're getting out and you can't dive, and then press A. And then you can just do. Obviously, some people will tell you if you're playing a controller, have your jump button binded down to left stick. If I were you, if you are a controller player, and listen carefully, I would recommend binding your controller button to left bumper just so you can jump around and whatever. And also because technically on controller, there is no actual way to... there is a way to actually unbind it to where you are able to bounce around and stuff. But for the purpose of diving backline or whatever, you want to ideally having... especially for those of you that play controller, you want to have a sense of your jumps because you get 3 of them and it's your way of moving around, if that makes sense. So with that in mind, too, this also brings in your other stuff too, like your E. Your E is what you want to go in whenever you're engaging in the backline. So anytime you are about to go dive in backline, meditate and slowly come behind like this and say, "Come here, bitch!" And then finish them off right there. Obviously, that is so much to learn and everything else. And obviously, if you are trying to learn Iron Fist, it will obviously take a minute for you to do some crazy stuff like that. But once you figure out his rotation and whatever, it's not hard. And once you know his abilities, it's not that crazy. But like I always do with all my Wolverine guides, I give you a personalized team up. Now, I'm going to tell you what team ups you should use on the Fist. Alright, so for your team ups, if you've been paying attention to this video, you've probably seen me use both of them at some point. There is a reason why I've used both of them particular in this video, other than my Wolverine guides. So with Iron Fist, his team ups are actually kind of good. They're arguably a little bit better than Wolverine's team ups in my opinion, if you have the enhanced version. So, for example, when you're brawling in the front line, something that the game doesn't tell you, everything you do does alt charge. This game is a alt economy. Stay with me. This game is a alt economy. One more time. This game is a alt economy. Great job. You just learned that this game is an alt economy. But why did I tell you that? Because his flurry state, well, I should probably switch, go to Wolf for a second. Wait. His flurry state, what this does, I have to use my alt. Wait, give me a second. Okay, whatever. Alright, so basically, I should probably turn this on no ability cooldowns. So basically, his parry gives you overshield. And for PC players, this is your right click. And anytime you take damage, you get overshield for it. Ideally, when you use your right click, you need to use your shift or your right click as like a get out of jail card, essentially. So obviously when you're playing as Fist, and this is a little bit of a harsh reality for us Fist players, you are going to get focused very, very hard. And trust me, people do not like you. I'm going to tell you that straightforward. And the way that you can kind of at least make it more manageable is just, you see how much overshield I got from that? It scales it. And then the punches, if you have the White Fox team up, you can punch right there and then do that. I think with the White Fox team up, again, this is another thing that the game doesn't tell you. The punches, I think, actually enhance your percentile damage. I have no idea how much. I don't know if that's true. But when you shred it right here, it does a lot. It does a lot of damage normally. And without the White Fox team up, it doesn't do that much. So basically, your White Fox team up should be... I recommend using the White Fox team up over anything other than the Thing team up. And there's a reason why. So if you are going to solely dive if your goal is to do nothing but hurt or harm the back line under any means, and you want a hard dive, meaning you stay in the back line, you're like, get out of here, like that, then always use a thing team up. But in general, I would recommend using the White Fox team up no matter what. Primarily because the White Fox team up allows you to have more AoE damage. It buffs your ultimate charge because your healing that you do on your fist, funny enough, it actually gives you more ult charge. How crazy coincidence. And honestly too, if you have the enhanced version, you get 50 healing per second. So meaning if you are brawling and your tanks are about to die and your supports can't look, and you're over here coming like, come here, like, and you literally get 2 picks because of your healing, and you get healing from them. That is so much astronomical value. And because your healing does technically charging, you technically alt charge everyone and you charge yourself. So there's a lot of unintentional benefits that you get when you use the flurry state. So from an essential standpoint, always use the White Fox team up over the Think team up. Not because of, oh man, the Think team up's bad, but because long term, you're gonna get more value out of this than you would the Thing team up. I would say the only instance where you would use the Thing team up is if you have it enhanced. And I'll show you the enhanced version really quickly here. And the enhanced version, and let me show you, the basic version gives you a simple uppercut. A simple uppercut that can be used right after the kick. Nothing else, nothing more. However, the upgraded version, it gives you an uppercut, and then you can do a sweeping kick. And a little fun tip here, if you wanted to actually like completely eviscerate the backline and you have the Thing team up, after you do this, your kick, you can use your shift kick, and then you just do that. So, and honestly too, a little tech that you can do with Iron Fist, you can actually hold down right trigger or your primary. So this, for example, you can hold that down when you're pressing F and it just does this. And you can just press shift right after and it gives you so much burst damage where you can force a CC ability and you can just automatically bam. And then at that point, you can just do some crazy shit like that, if that makes sense. So again, having stuff like that, it takes time to do that, and that is more of an advanced thing that you won't really learn until later on in your Iron Fist journey. But ideally, for the purposes of you starting off Iron Fist, and for honestly for me, which is how I got into GM with Iron Fist, I would always recommend using the White Box team up because you get more ult charge. It goes well on your golden rotation, and honestly too, it's very helpful. So just in general, I would always recommend the White Fox team up. Otherwise, if you have the chance to play the Thing on your team and you are playing Iron Fist, then go Thing. Basically, only use the Thing team up if you're going to get an enhanced. Otherwise, use the White Fox team up. But yeah, let me tell you his playstyle because this can get a little bit confusing. All right, so now with Iron Fist, now that I've told you pretty much his kit and a little bit of the team ups, you're probably wondering, how do I start beating it? Pause. Massive pause. Well, the first way you want to start actually beating up people is Iron Fist. You got to understand that this guy can be used for so many things. You can use this to, again, brawl. And you can still use it to dive, technically. You can use them to dive. Do some crazy stuff like that. And if you want, with your White Box team up, you can use it to peel against dive, if that makes sense. So you can use your flurry state, punch your enemies, and then still do healing, if that makes sense. So, but you're probably wondering, well, what should I primarily be doing most of the time? Say they're not running dive. Well, let me tell you something. So in many cases or not, you always want to start off your games going into dive. So for example, let's say, for example, my team is coming out over here, and they're going over there, and the back line is over there, where I was just at. You're going to use your E, your meditating form, because what happens is, you will not only get over 400 HP health, but you can stay there to up to 3 seconds to do stuff like this. However, you need to keep in mind that when you do that, it creates a sound. So if you are not near a noisy environment, or if you are not anywhere where the supports can't hear you, I would recommend not doing it. Meditating is optional, but if you can, do it, because it gives you a lot of overshield and it helps you survive long term. So let's say, for example, you can meditate. All you got to do is meditate, right? Just meditate. I'm going to walk you through this. Just meditate. Go in, see your opponent. Hold down right trigger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then shift. If they use a CC ability, just get out. Actually, just get the hell out. And just go brawl. That's it. So, again, let's say, for example, now that they are running dive and you can't... Well, I think I'm jumping the gun here. Basically, most of the times and every time you can, press your E. Press your E. Meditate. Go in the back line. Behind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bam. Like that. Or, if you are using the Thing team up, enhanced specifically, what you can do is count 1, 2, 3, and then use the team up. So you can meditate again. I'll show you. With the Thing team up, you can meditate, right? Go in. 1, 2, 3. Bam. Click. Bam. They're dead. Just like that. So, one more time. I'll show you one more time. Meditate. Wait for your health to get to 400. Just look at the bottom. Go in. 1, 2, 3. Team up. And then kick. Does that make sense? That's if you have the Thing team up. But even then, you can always just do it like that. Now, let's say, for example, your dive goes unsuccessful. And your dive is very, very bad and sloppy, let's just say. If your dive is kind of punished, for example, this is where you want to use your right click. Your right click, and again, let's refrain here. It's on a 1.2 second duration. It's the same distance at timing as Daredevil. So, and if anyone hits you at all, you get overshield. And you can get up to 475 overshield, including even in your ult, which is very, very good. So you can just... And then if you're really getting dove, or if they're really looking at you that bad, you can use your shift to get out, and then go back to your supports, and then do the same thing again. So basically, putting this all together, basically Iron Fist is a diver, and he's a brawler. However, there's one more core thing that Iron Fist can do if you use the White Fox team up, which is why I use it. You can peel for backline, which is why I mentioned it earlier. I was jumping the gun earlier. That's why. With your Iron Fist team up, specifically with White Fox, you get healing per second. The base team up with the White Fox team up, meaning your right click, gets approximately 40% healing per second. So as I'm punching them, anyone that is around me is going to get about 40 healing a second. The enhanced version gives you 50 healing a second, which is really good because that's the equivalent of a cloak and dagger bubble, which is honestly kind of broken. So, if your supports, let's say, for example, my dagger here is getting dove or whatever, and say BP's like, ooh, Johnny, da, da, da. As he's dashing, I could actually just auto-track him and just do stuff like this, and I can still heal my support while I'm getting ult charged, if that makes sense. So, pretty much, the way you want to do this is dive, brawl, if necessary, peel. Dive, brawl, peel. Dive, brawl, peel. That is your primary play style that you want to be going around, if that makes sense. So, dive, brawl, peel. Dive, brawl, peel. Okay? That's his golden rotation. Primarily his golden rotation, specifically. Alright? So, now that you understand more on pretty much his entire kit and how to use him more of, let me tell you how or who you should be playing with and who you should be playing against. Alright, so For those of you that play dive, and you don't have to make this publicly, you don't say this out loud, but on a scale of 1 to 10, how many of you play characters like Magic, Venom, Star-Lord, not don't count Iron Fist, Blade, or Black Cat, where is Murdoch, or even Daredevil? You've probably played at least one of these people before, or even Deadpool. You see, Iron Fist is not so different from all these other dive characters because dive, and I'm going to tell you, it's all the same. It's just that they have different capabilities and they have different abilities that make them unique. Like, for example, Iron Fist has the ability to do some really ridiculous combos. Same thing with Daredevil. Whereas Blade can just use anti and secure picks. And then maybe Magic can be used to both brawl and dive. So if you want to learn Iron Fist, again, in your character triangle and poke, dive, brawl, I would recommend learning Fist with Magic because their concepts of learning each other are not so far-fetched, and the rule of thumb is very, very similar. So when it comes to synergies, right? When we talk about synergies, we mean who do you pair up best with? What characters do you play well with, basically? And normally when I say the characters you play well with, I'm talking about people that you can have an easier time playing with, or relatively characters that you can't really play against, if that makes sense. And essentially speaking, again with synergies, it's just how well do you pair up against someone and how well do you not pair up against someone. Primarily, I'm going to start off with the people that you do play well against and with. So these are the people that you would think, oh, this is good. So any flyers. So in this case, Iron Man, Iron Man, Star-Lord, where the hell are they? Human Torch, Ultron, and then Storm. Those are all flyers you are really, really, really good against because you can just hold down primary and then you can kick. So, for example, all I have to do in this case, if I have a Storm player, you can just run up to her like, come here, like, go on the walls. He can fly, jump 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then just kick. They're dead, just like that. Or if you want to get creative, you can uppercut with that too and then kick. There's a million ways you can get to the right solution, kind of like with calculus. There's no really any rules with maybe deriving maybe specific limits or really any rules on actually doing the proper math. All that matters is the correct answer, and especially in college, the only thing that matters is the correct answer. So it doesn't matter how you get it. It doesn't matter how you do it. It's just if you get it. Kind of like with this game. So anyone like Loki, Mantis, and these are the people that you are really good against diving. Loki, Mantis, Rocket. Let's see here. Adam, Jeff, Ultron, Invis, and maybe Jubilee, but definitely Gambit. So the reason why I say all these supports is because a little thing about his tracking, he has an aim lock that you can do, and sometimes if your thing does not auto lock here, like when it's locking like that, well, it's not going to do it now because I'm recording, but in any instance where it's not tracking, just let go of your mouse or right trigger and then it'll do it for you. And you can just do stuff like that. So, and especially with characters like Mantis, for example, and here I'll show you. Most supports are around 250 to 275. So a lot of the times you are going to pressure them very, very fast. And in many cases, and especially for solo diving, sometimes it's not always about killing the divers. It's supports. It's more about, I think, just getting value off of them, like distracting them. Because remember, dive is short for diversion. So unless if you're trying to play Venom and Cap, then go kill the supports. But if you're solo diving, then just get resources. If you can get a pick, great. If not, then just get out. That's not your job. But most importantly, that's not really your role as Iron Fist, unless if you are playing into double dive. Playing single dive, yes, it is possible. Yes, you can kill the supports, but it's hard. And the moment your dive starts to become, I think, just predictable, diving just becomes a little bit miserable, if that makes sense. And it's just harder to do. Characters like Groot, Cap, Hulk, Strange, Venom. I'm trying to find other people. Dino, Rogue, now Angela, and the Thing, you all pair up against very, very well. And even the Hood, because honestly, because you have auto tracking, so you can actually just parry, 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 and he just gives you instant 475 health. So you can just parry everything with your right click, and you can just get instant overshield, if that makes sense. And honestly, because your right click does shredding, and well, your flurry state, I should say your flurry state does shredding technically. You would be able to kill people like the Hood, Angela, and because you have auto tracking, flyers aren't really that big of an issue for you, if that makes sense. And now we're gonna get into the people that you don't really pair up well against. So it's no secret that Luna Snow, aka the golden girl of this whole damn game, and I fucking hate her. It's no joke and no secret that all dive players are susceptible to this singular K-pop woman right here. Not in an offensive way or anything. I did not mean to say it like that, but basically Luna has 2 CCs, and then she can self boost herself, and then she does as much damage as Hela. So she's just miserable. So if they go Luna, don't dive her too much. Go after her last. Or if you are gonna dive with like Blade, for example, I would recommend having Blade take care of her, because he can probably parry, whereas you can't. Well, you can, but you just be in flurry state. So I would say Jeff. Yes, you do pair up well against Jeff, but very good Jeff players are very hard to kill, not because of their ability to escape, but because they just run around forever and ever and ever. If you're trying to get a pick on him, then no, you would not want to play against him. But if you're just trying to get resources out of him, then yes, absolutely dive him. I am gonna say that Deadpool, the support pool, he is a little bit harder to deal with, because in the beginning you're very good against him, but more of in the end of the game, you are he's kind of hard to deal with, because at the point where he's at the end of the game or at the first round, he's going to have all of his upgrades, and all of his upgrades make him a very strong healer, second to Nelma Jubilee. So I am going to say that, and especially since now that he has the Hela team up, and because he can self-peel, and very good support pools are not going to let you dive them really easily, he's going to be really hard to get. And if you ever come across a support pool who mains DPS pool, you're going to have a hell of a time trying to go after him. Gambit is another hard one to go after, kind of just because he's banned. He's primarily banned. He's just fucking annoying. And he has 2 dashes, and he can kind of duel you himself. So yeah, I mean, there's not much to say there. And White Fox is kind of built for anti-dive. So if they run White Fox and Luna Snow, which is the comp from Hell, I would say try to just get their CC out and then just leave and then just go brawl. Or matter of fact, just don't play Fist into that, because it's just you can play Fist into that, it'll just be miserable, if that makes sense. Now, for the duelist part and the tanks, there's not really any DPS that you should be worried about. The only ones that you really should be worried about in terms of your actual DPS, the only ones you really need to worry about is Punisher, Hela, Widow, Penny, and I like how it all goes in like a row. That's kind of funny. And then Phoenix. Those are the only real DPS you kind of have to worry about. And Namor too, of course. Can't forget Namor and Bucky. Namor and Bucky as well. You can't really forget those guys. Pretty much what they do is they auto track you. They have high damage potential, and they kind of force you to have to put you in your shield. And if you don't, you automatically die. And this isn't a problem just for Fist himself, but this is a problem for Spider-Man, Iron Man. This is a problem for Scarlet Witch. This is a problem for a majority of the roster in the game. And this is something that's been a problem for so many seasons now. And I hope that the devs in some degree address this, because I think I don't want to be like, oh man, poke his ass. But I think when we have back-to-back seasons of poke, it kind of gets annoying. And also, it kind of just makes the game kind of just sloppy a little bit. Like, it feels like if it doesn't feel fun to play in, if that makes sense. So basically, you shouldn't worry about anyone except Punisher, Hela, Widow, Penny, Phoenix, Namor, and then Bucky. Those are the only you only have to worry about primarily like 5 to 6 people. Wait, let me count. Wait. You don't have to worry about 7 people in the entire roster. And even then, some of these guys are gonna be banned. Like, for example, you honestly, Punisher is still a permaban, so one of those guys you ain't gonna really have to worry about. Same thing with Hela. You can just ban her and just get her out. Or if I were you, I would ban Phoenix too. Phoenix, no one likes to deal with a Phoenix player, and again, Phoenix is just annoying to deal with. So take it as you will, kind of. But let's talk about the bans that you should be doing. All right, so the bans that you should primarily be doing. Penny is one of your hard counters. I would recommend banning anyone from Penny, Bucky, Namor, or Elsa. Primarily Elsa because of her anti-dive and her trap. Her trap is just a lot harder to deal with now, and it's even though that yes, they did nerf it and whatnot, I would still say that she can still kind of chase you, and if you somehow get out, she can still force you into flurry state. So it's just like I don't want to say it's miserable to play against, but it's just like it's kind of boring and it gives you a poor counter experience, if that makes any sense. Pretty much just any hit scan, any poke character is going to pretty much beat you, if that makes sense. And rather if that's again Bucky, Namor, Phoenix, Elsa, any hit scan is going to beat you, including Widow. All right, so be careful of that. So primarily what I would recommend banning is I would definitely recommend banning Punisher for sure. Get him out of here. For the purposes of dive, I would recommend you can do this interchangeably, but you can change out Phoenix or Hela for one of those two if your team doesn't ban them. And for your last part, I would recommend banning Cloak and Dagger, just kind of because here's the thing about Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger has been so strong these very last couple seasons. Now that she has a team up with Hood, she gets her enhanced version, and a lot of people are going to be playing Hood this season. She gets damage boost to anyone that she uses her cape on, and healing reduction on her enemies, and then she has a freeze at the same time. And if you pair that with the Hood, there's 70% reduced damage. Like, there's a lot of unfun mechanisms that you kind of have to deal with as Fist, and nobody wants to deal with stuff like that. So I would recommend banning people like Cloak and Dagger as your one support to get rid of. Or honestly, if you really want to make your life easier, just get rid of Luna. Just get rid of Luna or these two. One of these two. Either one is honestly fine if I'm being kind of honest, but yeah. So pretty much you can change these interchangeably, but you can ban the biggest ban priorities, highest ban priority. You should absolutely be taking under every circumstance. You should always be banning Punisher. Always ban Punisher and always ban Hela or Phoenix. And then if you would like, you can ban Penny and then one of these three and so forth. You can do it at your own discretion, if that makes sense. And then of course Namor, but Namor's not really I don't want to say he's not really a problem for you. It's just miserable to play against, if that makes sense. But yeah, let me teach you guys just the last little bit of an itty bitty information, and then yeah, that's the end of the video. So the last little bit of stuff that I want to give you guys, and this is a little more of like text, and I'm going to start doing this a little bit more in my Wolverine guides as the seasons progress, and there is a good chance that Wolf is probably going to get buffed again, unironically. But with Iron Fist, a lot of the times with the Thing team up, you can hold down your right click when you do the ability. So when I uppercut, you can actually just hold down your primary as you do it. And you can do this as well with your right click. So for example, if I'm going to go uppercut, I can just hold down my left trigger mouse and just do this. And I can just hit them once and then boom, they're dead. You can do the same thing with your Fist team up here, or not your Fist, but your parry. You just And you just stuff like this. And then when I get it back right here, and I can just parry, you can just cancel into it, and you can just go crazy. And then you can do stuff like that. Like, honestly, you'll turn into Thanos. So, another thing that you should probably know about Fist, and this is another tip. Iron Fist is right-click. Every time you punch after you use it, you get a 1.2 reduced second cooldown on it. And it takes a full combo. When we refer to a combo, we mean the whole thing. This. That. It takes a full primary to do this. To get your block back. And honestly, if you are in a very critical state but you need to brawl in, you can honestly just do this. Hold down S key. Or use your controller and go back, and you can just jump on your vanguards or your flyers, and you can just get free parry cooldown back, and you can still hold the mouse down. So if I'm going like this, and you can just do stuff like that, and because your jump's on a 1 second cooldown, you're gonna get it back pretty fast, if that makes any sense. So another thing you should probably know now about Fist is that there is a bug with his ultimate. I have no idea if this is intentional or not, but it probably isn't because they haven't patched it yet. But with your ultimate, in the last second of your ultimate, you can probably, not probably, but you can, if you time this correctly, and it takes a little practice, if you are punching and you decide to block a second after the ultimate ends, you enter a state where you can still move around and the animation doesn't play and you're just around there and you can still block in that time frame. So let me show you. So for example, I'm in my ultimate, I'm going crazy. I'm just going crazy, whatever. And say for example, I have like 1 second left. I'm gonna start punching. And I decide to block right here. Well, obviously, it's gonna take time to do that, but you see how that animation does it? The point is, that animation would not play, and again, I don't know if they patched it or not. But normally, with this team up with White Fox, you can do that, and you can still move around and stuff. Obviously, it's harder. It's harder to do while you're trying to consciously do it, but while you're brawling in, for example, you are going to be able to do it more easier than you may think. And speaking of your ultimate, 2 things about your ultimate. Your ultimate should not be used to shred squishies like Storm or Cloak and Dagger or Luna Snow, for example. Your ultimate should be used to go after tanks or displacing people in their ultimates. So, for example, let me show you how fast you kill a squishy, for example. So, Luna Snow. Obviously, you do that, right? Watch how fast you shred Strange. You see how fast you do that? Obviously, yes, that... it looked like you really didn't do much there. But in a realistic game, a support is just going to out-heal your damage, and you're just like a pillow fist. So, and especially when you're doing this too, you can just... well, I shouldn't probably do that, but the point is that when you're in your ultimate, you essentially don't really do that much damage to squishies, so you want to be targeting the vanguards or the one tank on their game if they are solo tanking, if that makes sense. And while you are in your ultimate, you can press you can honestly just spam left click doing that, and you can actually do the little and displace them like that little punch, and you can just honestly you can just keep doing that in your ultimate, just and you just do that over and over and over and over and displace people like support ultimates out of their supports, and then you can just kill them out of the ult, and then you can just cancel ult, and hopefully you can win the game. But let's see here. Is there anything else that you should probably know? So another thing you should probably know with Fist, when you're going like this, your flurry state has a 5-second activation. At around the last like second where it's about to run out, you probably want to get around cover, and which is why playing cover in this game in general is so useful. But in general, if I'm rolling over here, right, I'm like, but they're taking no damage, for example, and my flurry state's about to run out, just get out like this. And you can spam your what you'll call it, your jump button with this, and you can fly out pretty fast here. Like, let me show you. So, for example, if I'm going like this, I can just do this. you fly out so fast that even without it, you kind of fly out like a menace. So there's other ways you can do this again. So take it as you will. Now, the last thing I will recommend if you want to get more into advanced tips on Iron Fist, and this is where this is where this stuff kind of separates you from being a good to a skilled Iron Fist. Most Iron Fist players, and I think I've already mentioned this in the video before, a lot of Iron Fist players do not utilize their jumps that much. They really don't. They really don't. You have 3 charges on it for a reason. Use those charges. So, for example, a lot of the times you can just use your jump to get some ground, to get above them. If they use a projectile on you, like dodge, kick, boom, they're dead. And in many cases, for example, if I am playing, I'm gonna put you in a perspective here. If I am playing Luna, right, and I hit them with Snowball, I can just jump around that and actually dodge it to the left. And it's Iron Fist here now, coming back. I can just come here, and then they're just dead just like that, if that makes sense. So the point is, you want to use your jumps to your advantage and then move around. Like, make it hard for them to actually read you, if that makes sense. Don't be predictable. Never be predictable. So, is there anything else I have for you? Okay, the last thing you should probably know about Iron Fist is sometimes don't use your kick when diving. There's a reason why, and it's because if nothing is dying at all, and let's say, for example, they're playing Bucky, and he comes over here like, come here, you're trying to die my supports, and you're taking a lot of damage pretty fast. Honestly, you can just parry, get some overshield, and just kick to get out, and you just stay these air tanks, you can just brawl in with them, and then just bam, they're dead. So sometimes you want to use your kick to prioritize survivability over damage. So, and your kick is on a 10-second cooldown upon activation too. So there's a lot of ways, or at least I should probably say, there's a lot of different lenses that you can use your kick. So use your kick to either get out or use your kick to damage. Don't ever use your kick to damage unless you know that you kill. And at that point, that's when you have to commit, if that makes sense. And remember, when you use your kick, don't use it until their HP is about halfway. So then you nearly kill them, if that makes sense. And then you can just do that. So that is all the tips I have for Iron Fist as of Season 9.5. If you guys enjoy this video, and again, I am trying to maintain a little schedule here, and as I'm recording this, it's like Monday night. So you probably won't see this till, but by the time this video comes out, you probably won't see this till Wednesday-ish, maybe, give or take. But yeah, if you guys have any questions at all, and I've seen you guys have posted quite a lot on the last Wolverine video, I appreciate all the support, guys, and it means the absolute world to me, and it just means so much that so many people are actually interested in looking at these type of videos. If you, again, same thing goes for the Iron Fist here. It doesn't go with Iron Fist, but just in general. If you have any questions on how to really play Iron Fist outside the video, like maybe me explaining an ability or like maybe explaining a playstyle to you, I would gladly answer. Although I may not get back right away, I will try my best to answer to the best of my ability. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to comment them down below. But other than that, though, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you guys enjoy these videos, you want more like these, not the tutorial videos, but the like gameplay-ish and this included, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe. It just helps me out so much. And other than that, though, guys, I'm your host, Master Yi, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.